A midlife crisis is more than just a cultural stereotype. It's a real psychological struggle that can surface between the ages of 40 and 60. Often triggered by aging, loss, or unmet expectations, it can actually lead individuals to question their identity, make impulsive choices, or abruptly abandon long term commitments. While not officially classified yet as a mental illness, the emotional and relational fallout is very real, especially for the spouses and families left behind. This podcast gives voice to those living through the aftermath, exposing the hidden pain, and seeking accountability, healing, and understanding. Thank you for joining us today on MLC Bomb Drop and Beyond. The stories and events discussed in this podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or professional advice. Any names, locations, or identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, or real events are purely coincidental. The information presented on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Always consult with a qualified expert regarding any decisions related to your specific situation. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the podcast creators. Hey guys, we had an interesting question the other day. It was a comment on one of our recent videos, and the listener asked, what do people mean when they say work on yourself? Because what exactly does that mean? When people or therapists say work on yourself after a breakup, they usually mean actively engaging in personal healing, growth, and self-awareness rather than just waiting for time to pass. It's not just about moving on. It's about becoming stronger, healthier, and more conscious of your patterns, needs, and values. For example, like emotional processing. Instead of suppressing sadness, anger, confusion, or grief, allow yourself space to be felt and understood. Actually grieve the loss. Even if the relationship was toxic, it's still a loss of connection, familiarity, and possibly a shared future. You can journal. That helps clarify thoughts, identify emotional triggers. It can also help release suppressed pain. You can also reflect on your relationship patterns, like what worked, what didn't. Were there red flags that maybe you, looking back now, you realize you ignored them? Were your needs really being met? You can explore your own role without self-blame. Sort of consider what you may have tolerated, enabled, or repeated. And learn about attachment styles, trauma bonds, reconnect with yourself, hobbies, passions, interests, goals. Reclaim the parts of you that may have been dimmed during your relationship. And that didn't happen overnight. It was probably over time. Learn to validate yourself without needing external approval. Super important. And realize that the real closure often comes from within. It doesn't come from your ex's explanation. I think when people say work on yourself after a breakup, they typically mean taking time to really heal and grow. And that means feeling those emotions instead of avoiding them, reflecting on what happened and what patterns you might want to change going forward, rebuilding your self-worth and reconnecting with who you are outside of that relationship. Super important. And also it's about processing the pain in a healthy way, setting boundaries, getting stronger emotionally so you don't carry the same wounds into your next chapter. Again, that is super important. And remember, it's not just about moving on, it's about rising up. Because you know what? You know who needs to work on themselves? Is somebody who's experiencing a midlife crisis. They need to work on themselves. Somebody who has narcissistic personality disorder, they need to work on themselves. Somebody with borderline personality disorder, they need to work on themselves. These are typical personality profiles that affect people in MLC, and they seriously need to work on themselves because they are the creators of the bomb drop. Welcome back to MLC Bomb Drop and Beyond. I'm your host, Trina Laird, and today's episode is for every person who's ever been blindsided by a partner's MLC, discarded like they didn't matter, and then told to just work on yourself. I know when somebody said that to me, I about dropped dead. I was like, work on myself. Like, really? He's the one having an affair. Um, and that really flipped me out for real. And I have talked to so many of you that say the same thing, like, work on yourself? What are they talking about? It just doesn't make sense. It's actually insulting. So let me be clear here. For survivors of betrayal, abandonment, and narcissistic abuse, that phrase can totally feel like a slap in the face. But today we're going to talk about that. Why it is not helpful to say that to people, especially those that have been betrayed and are victims of narcissistic abuse. We hear it all the time. Work on yourself, as if you were the broken one, as if the discard didn't come out of nowhere, as if your pain is a self-improvement project. No, it's not. It is not a self-improvement project. The truth is, when you've been discarded by someone in midlife crisis or by a partner who suddenly, boom, flips the switch after decades, and then your friends lovingly, they mean good support probably, and they say, work on yourself, but it can sound like a subtle accusation, as if maybe you were part of the problem. And maybe you were, but in discard and MLC and narc abuse, yeah, the problem does not lie with the victim. It's the perpetrator, the one that is run off to an immediate, source of supply. So, let's get real. Sometimes the person who left didn't just leave. They lied, sometimes in court. They cheated. They smeared your name. They rewrote history. They emotionally abused you, financially abused you, sexually abused you. And now you're the one that's being told to fix yourself or work on yourself? Come on. That kind of language, it skips right past the betrayal and lands directly in self-blame. And that is why it's almost like being re-traumatized. What do survivors actually need? We need space to process what happened. We need compassion. We need truth. And we need someone to say, what you went through was not okay. What you went through was completely unacceptable. And to quote a recent listener, I think he calls it inhuman or something to that effect, because it is. It is totally inhuman. We need validation that our heartbreak is real and that our trust was shattered, not because we were too weak or not enough, but because someone else abandoned their integrity, and that's somebody that we believed in. As a matter of fact, most spouses that I talk to they all say the same thing. We all say, wow, my spouse had the highest moral compass. They were a pillar of society, a pillar of the community. Um, you know, we trusted them. We need support in rebuilding, but not from a place of shame, but from a place of dignity. So what's better than work on yourself? What can we think of? Well, here's a few phrases that might actually empower instead of shame. So let's see if any of these resonate with you guys. People could say, reclaim your power. Um, it acknowledges that something was taken from you and now you're taking it back. I don't know, reclaim your power. It's okay. Come home to yourself, a gentle reminder to reconnect with who you truly are after being made to feel like a stranger in your own life. How about the phrase, heal on your own terms? Because your healing is not a race and it's definitely not a performance. What about rebuild what they tried to break? Because someone tried to destroy your spirit. They might still be trying, but here you are rising. And then finally, you're not broken, you're rebuilding. And remember, language matters. The words we speak to ourselves and each other during crisis can shape the entire healing journey. So I don't know. Maybe you guys, let me know what you think, if any of those resonate with you. Reclaim your power, come home to yourself, heal on your own terms, rebuild what they tried to break. You're not broken, you're rebuilding. Yeah, I don't know which one resonates with me the most. maybe the last one. Healing doesn't mean becoming the perfect version of yourself to deserve love again, but it means honoring your pain, getting honest about what you need, and refusing to carry their dysfunction as your burden. It is their dysfunction. You should discard their dysfunction just as quick and easily as they discarded you. That's an applause for you guys. I hope you're all out there discarding their dysfunction. And you need to protect your peace, set boundaries, learn to trust yourself. It's not linear. This thing doesn't fit into a Pinterest board or a 10-step program. But it is sacred, it is yours, and no one gets to define it for you. So to anyone who's ever heard the phrase, work on yourself, and felt unseen or blamed, I get it. We all get it. You are not broken. We are not broken. We are all out there rebuilding. And this is your comeback, not your collapse. Please remember that. And thanks for listening. Be kind to yourself today. And if you feel strong enough, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. I'm Trina Laird. This is Midlife Crisis, Bomb Drop and Beyond. And until next time, you guys, protect your peace, reclaim your power. And remember, they left, you rose. And you are going to discard their dysfunction. You are going to discard their dysfunction. That is not part of your life. So clear out their dysfunction, go forward, be awesome, stay authentic to yourself, and be the best that you can be. And again, when somebody says, work on yourself, try not to take that personally, because I think they just don't know what else to say. So we've got to get another phrase out there. I think in the moment, I'm going to start saying, I don't know, if somebody says this to me, work on yourself. I don't know. I feel like saying, go work on yourself. But I think I'm going to go with reclaim your power. Let's just do that. Reclaim your power. I don't know. There's nothing. Work on yourself. I really hate that. Oh, I remember right when I was, after my discard, a friend said, it was a male friend, and he said, your husband was just, what did he say? He said, that I was too much for him and that I was too much woman for him. And now I realize, maybe that was true. But, that's the thing. They realize when somebody's in midlife crisis or wearing a narcissistic mask and we see behind it and they know that we have seen behind it, all bets are off. That's when they've got to run to a new supply, no matter what it is, who it is, where it is. They've got to get out quick. So don't ever take it personally. Just know that, what did I hear? I also heard that when you are discarded, that is the moment that you can, even though you're going to go through all the sad breakup part, and the discard feelings, but when you're discarded, it's also opening the door for you to get back and reclaim your power and reclaim your life and be the best that you can be. Because chances are, if you think about it, you're going to realize there is a lid on yourself. Well, you know what? Being with somebody in MLC and being emotionally abused, you've been sitting around with a lid on yourself. So it's time to take that lid off, and go forward. Yeah, you want to take off that lid. You need to have the leash taken off of you so that now you can truly rise and be yourself with nothing pushing you down. So rise up, everybody. So there you have it. Instead of go work on yourself, I think what I'm going to say is, if I can remember, I'm going to say rise up, because there has been a lid on whoever's coming out of that relationship, and now they can truly rise up. The bars are off. But yeah, don't take it personally when somebody says go work on yourself. And of course, there's always all kinds of self-improvement you can do, but it shouldn't be an order like, go work on yourself, but rather, if you want to work on yourself, great, go work on yourself. But seriously, just rise up. Be yourself, be authentic, and rise the F up. All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. Thanks again, you guys, for tuning in to Midlife Crisis, Bomb Drop, and Beyond. We have reached nearly 10,000 downloads. We have hundreds of subscribers, if not over 1,000. You guys, forward-moving spouses, you are not alone. Left behind spouses, you are not alone. Those in crisis, you are certainly not alone. This is just crazy how epidemic this has become. I have a waiting list now of people from around the world that I'm trying to get to. And if you've been through a midlife crisis or been impacted by someone else's and you want to share your story, I'd love to hear from you. Hang in there, you guys. I will get to all of you. Please reach out to me at mlcbombdrop@gmail.com and visit us on Facebook and Instagram, MLC Bomb Drop. And just remember, your voice matters. Your story could be the one that helps someone else feel seen. It could help someone else feel heard. And it will help somebody else feel understood. You are not alone, no matter where you are in your journey. If the bomb was just dropped, the earthquake just happened, if you are 7 or 8 years in and you're coming out of starting to wake up and awaken to this, you are not alone. It's sad that this is epidemic, but we're here to provide support. So until next time, take care and live authentically each and every day. Thanks again, you guys.